everybody, welcome back to my video. Today I have for you a fall vibes book recommendations video. It's coming a lot later than everybody else's, but hey, that's what happens when you're in college. Yeah, I have a few books to talk about here. I've kind of split them up into categories. So we have fantasy, classics, like dark academia, literature, history. Then we have like thrillers. Does that make sense? Hope so. These are just the books that I think feel like fall vibes. Um, and some of these I have here, some of these I left in my dorm because I'm actually trying to read them during fall. Um, yeah, hope you enjoy. Let's dive in with the fantasy category. And we're gonna start with The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. I love this book. It's one of my favorite books of all time. It follows, I would also categorize this like with the dark academia, but that's neither here nor there. It kind of follows two people who are raised to be players in this epic game that takes place between magicians, and there aren't really any rules, and they end up making this really magical circus, and they like add on to it, and it like flits from town to town, and it takes place like over a long stretch of time. I've read it twice now, and it's very Halloweeny. It's very atmospheric, and it's like circus and like what are those called, like caramelized apples and like popcorn and whimsical magic and mystery and murder and all of these beautiful things. And I love this book. It's so great, and it's very fall-esque, so read it in fall if you want. Okay, next fantasy book is Three Dark Crowns by Kendare Blake. This is a 4-book series. I've read this one and the second one. Haven't gotten around to the last two. I really need to reread this. It follows 3 sisters who are each raised in like different places, different households, and they each have like 3 different magical affinities, and they're all fighting for this crown to be queen because they're all princesses. And there's like some trials going on, and they're preparing, and there's murder. It's very dark, very atmospheric, woods, magical creatures killing each other. I feel like you get the vibes just by the matte black cover. Yeah, I would say this series has some dark academia, magical vibes, which equates with fall. So, okay, last book in the fantasy category is another favorite. Wow, like one of my all-time faves, and that is Nevermore, The Trials of Morgan Crow by Jessica Townsend. This is a ongoing series. It's not finished. There are currently 3 books out. This really makes me want to read it in fall. I associate this series with fall in part because like the last 2 books have come out on October. There wasn't a new book this year. I think it's being released next October, sometime next year. I love this series so much. Very Harry Potter-esque, and I feel like a lot of fall vibe videos have Harry Potter, so I wanted to include this one instead. It is middle grade, and it like every year she gets older, you know, like it spans through the years, like Harry Potter. It's like each book is like an academic year. if that makes sense. This first book follows Morgan Crow, who is an 11-year-old, and she's like been destined to die. And then like the day of her death rolls around, and she's like a cursed child, which is why she's destined to die. And the day her death rolls around, this mysterious man comes and takes her to a magical place that she didn't know existed. Sound familiar? And there is like a wizardry school, or it's a wizard society, but like everyone has to go through the school, and in order to enter into this society, you have to complete these trials, hence the trials of Morgan Crow. And she has to, and everyone has like a different power or ability, and like she doesn't really know what hers is. And yes, I'm a sucker for trials, for books with trials. It's like one of my favorite things. I just love this series. It's getting darker every book. This one in particular is very fall-y, and it's also, I would say, fits with Christmas too, because like the Christmas scenes in it are just amazing. But there's like a big Halloween festival, and like they all get dressed up, and dark academia and magic and killing and mystery, and I just love it. And frankly, I think it might be better than Harry Potter. I definitely love it more than I love Harry Potter. Don't hate me for it. I just love this book, and I want everyone to read it because I don't feel like they're talked about enough. And don't let the term middle grade throw you off. I'm 19 and I love these books about an 11-year-old. Next, we're going to talk about some classics. Yeah. So first one is Rebecca. This is a gothic book, hence fall. I did read this last October because the Netflix movie came out last October, so I read it then. Very fall vibes. It's about a woman who meets a man, and they get married. They get married, and he takes her. Do they get married? I don't know, it's been a year. He takes her to his gothic castle that's haunted by his ex-wife. Haunted? Question mark? No one knows. And it's very spooky. A lot of things are going on. I remember enjoying this. The writing is like dense, I feel like is a good word. It's not light and fluffy, but it's gothic, it's a romance, it's mystery. So fall, yeah, that's all I have to say about that. This next book I haven't read yet. So, and that is Dracula by Bram Stoker. This is on my TBR, like I want to read, this is the next book I want to start. I tried to read it last year and I didn't get very far, but I'm determined to read it this year. I'm going to try to find a good audiobook and like let it read aloud to me, maybe. It's not even that long. I can read this. Anyway, I feel like we all know what Dracula's about. It's about Dracula, the vampire. That's all I know. That's all I know. I don't know. I haven't read it. I mean, look at the cover though. There's a castle. And like the spine's black, you know? Vampires, fall, magic, mystery, murder. There's a theme here. Which is why it's a themed video. Next book, again, I haven't read. I would like to read. And that is The Brothers Grimm. This is like the 101 Fairy Tales edition. I don't even know what fairy tales are in here. It's beautiful. Oh, I love this edition. From what I've heard, all of the classical fairy tales are all like really dark in actuality. So I'm just gonna go ahead and assume it's fall. I mean, but doesn't this edition scream fall? I think it does. And fairy tales, magic, death. Maybe I'll read this soon. Maybe not. The first book I'm going to mention that's not with me is The Book Thief by Markus Zusak. Again, one of my all-time favorites. Love this book. It's at school because I want to reread it in November. I feel like we all know what it follows. It follows a girl during the Holocaust as, is she in Germany or Poland or France? It's been like 3 years since I reread this, so I need to reread. But her family helps a Jewish man hide from the Nazis, and there's a story. I remember it's told from the perspective of death, and that's one of the reasons why I love it so much. So death, fall. That's the excuse. And like dark academia book vibes, because it's a lot about books. So wow, great points were made. Next book is The Secret History by Donna Tartt. Again, I want to read this in November. I brought it home to talk about right now. I might read it next. It depends on when I finish the book I'm reading right now, because I want to read Dracula before Halloween. So we'll see. It might get read this week. Me and Donna Tartt have a tenuous, complicated relationship, because I did not quite enjoy The Goldfinch as much as the rest of the world seems to. So I'm kind of scared to read this. All I know is it's dark academia, and I think it takes place at a college in England. And it's like supposed to be pretty pretentious. So it gives me like tights, Doc Martens, red sweater, reading in the library vibes, which means fall. Next book I don't have with me, but I'm going to mention it, is If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio. I read this last year, and I don't have a physical copy yet. I need to get one. But it follows, again, at a school. Pretty sure it's in England. Maybe it's in New England. I can't remember. It's somewhere. And it's like an art school, and they're all, it's a group of friends who are in a theater ensemble. Would that be the word? And they're all theater majors, and they reenact Shakespeare plays, and one of them is murdered. And so there's a lot of Shakespeare and a lot of poetry and death and found family. And it's very dark, very atmospheric. I loved it. I need to reread it soon, but I want it in a physical copy so I can annotate it. It's just great. It's great. So, yeah. On to the thriller category, right? Okay. Well, not really thriller. I'll do this one first. Coraline by Neil Gaiman. Do I need to explain this to you? One of my favorite movies. The book is exactly like the movie, though, I will warn you. There are some really terrifying pictures in here. Can I find one? No, that's not terrifying enough. I'm gaining a new appreciation for Neil Gaiman. Oh, see? Halloween, you know? And I want to read more of him. But this just came to me because I watch Coraline around this time of year. Every year it's my favorite movie of all time. So the book obviously fits the premise. It's really creepy. I would say the book is way more creepy than the movie. Way more creepy. So, I mean, look at that terrifying cover. Okay, we're getting down to it. The nitty gritty. The Woman in the Window by A.J. Finn. Read this last year, around this time too. Before, wow, the Netflix movie came out. It's a thriller that follows a woman who has experienced some trauma, and she's having some mental health issues, but she's also what is that called? She's a psychologist, psychiatrist, therapist. And but she's no longer practicing. She has agoraphobia, so she can't leave her house, so she watches her neighbors, and she witnesses her neighbor being murdered. And everyone thinks she's crazy. Is she crazy? I don't know. I loved this book. It was really good. Movie, not so much, but I really liked this book. Very atmospheric, New York and autumn vibes. Candles. There's a lot of Hitchcock references and like old black and white thriller movie references, and I just think it's great. That's why it's on here. Last book is The Maidens by Alex Michaelides. This came out earlier this year. He should have released it in fall. Greek mythology, takes place at Cambridge. There's a murder. Group therapist gets involved. She's a group therapist, right? No. Yes. Group therapist, yes. And a girl is murdered at Cambridge, and our main character thinks, oh, I was just trying to figure out if I remembered what the mystery is, and I remembered. Thinks that a professor who was involved in like this weird like cult secret society thing is the murderer, and she gets involved in the investigation. There's a lot of Greek mythology references, and it's very dark academia, Cambridge vibes. Fall, I don't know. Yeah. There you have my fall vibes book edition video. I really want to read some of these soon. In fall. I have a few of them like that have been designated for fall. So yeah. Let me know if you read any of them in fall. I know it's like kind of like towards the end of like spooky season fall, and it's getting more into like it's cold, Christmas is soon fall, but fall nonetheless. So you still have time. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like, subscribe, maybe possibly. Peace out. Goodbye. End the video.